Okay, so you've got your stocking. As I say, mine is different because I've sort of run out of different. So you've got a wrong side and a right side, and obviously yours will be easier to tell because you've got wadding on your wrong side. So what we're going to do is to join the lining pieces up first. So you get one lining piece, and as I say, this is the right side, so right side up, and your lining piece, to be fair, it's very much similar on one side to the other, and hopefully yours will match a little better than mine because I've obviously not cut mine properly, and pin along the top. So you're going to pin along here, and then you're going to do a straight seam, and when you've done a straight seam along here, then you sort of open it out and press it. So if you do your straight seam, what you'll do is you do your seam along there, and then when you press, not too hot an iron, but you press the seam open. So I've done that with one, and then I do that with the other side too. So I'm going to pin the lining piece, and it's important actually that it's going to be the matched corresponding one there. Okay, it's all getting quite close now to Christmas. I know a lot of people that I know have had to change their plans a little bit, so, well, or a lot, but it's nice to have, you know, something to actually focus on that can take your mind off things. Okay, so I'm just going to go away and do those two seams, press it, and then show you the next stage. Okay, so we've done those seams, we've pressed them open, and we're going to do the pinning. Okay, so we've got the right side up, so the nice neat seam is facing upwards, and you're going to place, so your stocking is facing that way, and then the lining is also facing that way, so we're all correct there. I don't know if you can hear the rain. It's I do apologise if it disturbs your viewing, but it's a bit rainy today. So match up your seams. Okay, match up your pieces. So what you're going to do, so your seams are nice and flat, they're all nice and matched. So what you're going to do is to pin all around, because this is how we do our whole stocking. So you're going to sew all around the stocking and the lining in one fell swoop, but you're going to leave a gap in the lining, and that's where you can then turn it through. And there's things you can do once we've finished your stocking. You can personalise it. You could almost make a little tag out of felt, or maybe some spare Christmas fabric that you've had from the bunting, maybe. You know, cut out a little tag shape and maybe just embroider a little initial on it, or a name, or you could just put, you know, it's entirely up to you, and that's what makes it sort of personal. And actually I really enjoy adding these little things, you know, when I'm making things for people. I love to add little extras that you're not necessarily expecting. Okay, so we've checked that both stockings are going to be facing the right way, so that's fine. So one will go inside the other once we've turned it out. And generally where I would leave a gap is down this side somewhere. Don't do it near the seam. It's much better if you can do it sort of in the middle somewhere, and then you turn it through and you can top stitch the gap closed, and because it's in the lining you're not going to see it. And you don't need to zigzag stitch or overlock, as it's a lined piece, so it's not going to get that sort of friction of movement at all. Okay, so I'm just going to finish pinning this, and I'm going to leave a gap there. I'm going to leave a gap of about 3 inches to turn it through, and then I'll come back to you and show you how to turn it through. Okay, so we've stitched all around and we have left a gap. Mine's a little bit higher than it should be really, but it left a gap there. So what we're going to do is to make sure that we've snipped all the corners. So this is, oh sorry, that is my pussycat bringing me a fluffy ball. Thank you very much, Ellie. The reason for snipping sort of into curves, so whether it's an inward curd or an outward curd, is so that it sits nice and flat. Otherwise it sort of gets a little bit pointed. So both in the lining and the front part, you want to be sort of snipping into here around the toe of the stocking. Make sure you don't get, actually, you know, don't snip through the actual stitches, but it does need to be a good stitch so that it does curve, and then the fabric can sort of splay out and accommodate for the curve. Okay, I'll do that other one in a minute. I'm just going to show you how to sort of bag it through. So what you're going to do is you're going to use this gap here, and you're going to pull through the lining, and then you pull through the front of the stocking. And what I should say as well, be very careful with your stitching, because you have wadding. It is a lot thicker, so take it very steady. If you have what they call a walking foot, then you could use that, because obviously you're going through, particularly when you're doing this stitching. I'm going to take mine out a minute and reshape it. You know, it is going through quite a thickness there. And then what you do, once you've got your stocking out, so you can see how that actually makes it sort of a nicer finish, then you push the lining down the sock. Well, first of all, what you'll do is this. So where you've got your gap, hopefully yours is lower down than mine. I think I've opened mine up a little bit much. Just pin it and top stitch it. So make sure you have yours sort of down here. I got a little bit carried away with mine, but it's good to see what happens if you know, when you do something different, so you can choose which way. So you will just top stitch that, and you won't see it because it'll be inside the actual stocking, and then we'll come back and see how we do. Okay, so I've turned it through and I've given it a good press, and as you can see, where you sort of snip, you know, it makes sure, particularly here and things like that, that it lies super flat. So then you have your finished shape, and then we've got some other bits and pieces to add on to it. Now it depends whether you can have a longer stocking, you know, and leave the or you can turn it through. The thing with turning it round is that it does make the top of the stocking, the entrance to it, a little bit smaller, particularly with your wadding. So you might want to see what comes and then make that decision from there. So I hope that's helped. We've seen how you can pin the front to the lining piece, and you join here on both sides, and then you spread everything out, so you've got the stocking here and the matching lining piece, and you go all the way around, leave a gap in the lining, and you pull it through, bag it out, well, snip it, and then bag it out. Give it a nice good press, and there you have it. You have your beautiful stocking. And actually, once you get sort of used to doing these, you know, you, as I say, you can sort of personalise them. If you know, when you've got the quilting as well, once you've done your seam, you know, your 1/4 inch seam, you may need to just sort of trim the wadding back a little bit. See how it goes. All right. Well, I hope you get on okay with that. As I say, if you have any problems, just email me at thewoodcottagecrafts@gmail.com, and I'd love to see your stockings. Thanks. See you tomorrow.